Today, should chatting about the news be an Olympic sport? Probably not, actually, now that I think about it. This is ChillPoint.
Did we earn any sort of medal?
I feel like if it was an Olympic sport in that level, like the idea, I do like the idea of like a hyper competitive casual chat because it's like how do you have to optimize, figure out what they're what they're marking you on
Because there's points for style.
for
Isn't
style
that just
and
a
different
bait
things.
club?
Yeah.
Well, no, because it's got to be casualness is part of the marking criteria. So you have to you have to be you have to be really hardcore at being casual.
How much prize money is there?
I don't know. I mean, the Olympics typically doesn't actually have any prize money associated.
Oh, well, then
with
I'm
it.
out.
No, but it is
You
generally
get endorsements though.
Yeah, it is also generally funded by your local government, like the Sports
No,
Canada or whatever will
I
put
mean-
money into looking after you. But then you also have to get Petro Canada to give you money as well to help you train and or stay in hotels or something like that. Yeah.
No, knowing some sort of endorsement deal, they would want to pay you per word, and I do not speak enough to get any good monetary value off of that.
But you also get free clothes, right? Like we can maybe convince Roots
Have you
to come
seen
back.
some of those
No, I'm
clothes?
saying we get Roots to come back and start doing the clothing again for the for our athletes, because that 1 year that they did it absolutely ruled. And when Hudson's Bay took over after that, it was like, oh, it's a little dire now. And Team USA has polo doing their stuff, which is why they have the very preppy cardigan, 3-button cardigan kind of thing going on with a big polo logo on it, and kind of it does look very
if you want,
it looks very flashy, but I was also but it looks very snooty.
I mean, if you want to work a job where you're forced to wear the clothes that they constantly probably don't provide you but give you a discount on, you can just go work clothing retail. It's a hellhole and it's not fun.
They don't even give you the clothing though.
No, they give you a discount.
Yeah, that's all you
But
get.
they still expect you to wear those clothes.
Yes.
I'll be like, ChillPoint's wardrobe provided by Value Village.
That would be so great. You know what? Yeah. It'd be
Can we just get Fangamer to sponsor us? I wear so much of their shit already.
That's true. Anyway.
I'm rocking Uniqlo today, and you are in our outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sponsored by
Our store.loadingroom.com.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to ChillPoint, show where we talk about video game news occasionally.
Do we have to? It's so dire every time I look at it.
That would be one of the one of the marking or one of the things for the casual news chat Olympic sport is how long you can go before you actually get to any
Well.
get to any news.
Is this a
Like,
team sport? Because I think Beach and I could do really good at it.
Yeah. Anyway, we were talking about video game news and also talking about the episode of ChillPoint that went up yesterday. So let's get into it. Starting with Korobo, which, I mean, I personally have never played any of the Chibi Robo games.
You should.
Although they look pretty cool.
It's awesome.
But so I feel like I can very easily do what was asked of me, which is to not compare it to Chibi Robo.
It's good.
And it looks cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in favor of tiny little robots doing fun things.
Yeah.
I don't know, Korobo, you're not necessarily, Chibi Robo, you're explicitly cleaning up the house, right?
That is true.
That's your purpose as a robot.
Yeah, you're moving dirt around. Yeah.
Whereas Korobo, I don't know, have to actually show them what your objective is?
If you look at the Kickstarter page, there's literally a graphic that says that you're there to clean up the house and do all the things that Chibi Robo does.
Oh, okay.
Also, the beginning of the story is a 10-year-old boy who opens up Chibi Robo or Korobo as as a birthday gift. Again, the first Chibi Robo game is a little girl being given a tiny robot as a birthday gift. And he's upset, though, because it's a knockoff robot, which I think is funny as heck.
It's like, I appreciate they being like, we don't want to be compared to this game, to this other game. But they're not doing themselves. If that wasn't the objective, then they have not succeeded, I guess.
The little trailer bit that you showed at the beginning of ChillPoint was basically Chibi Robo.
And their their Kickstarter page is like, this person from Chibi Robo, this person from Chibi Robo. It's gonna be like Chibi Robo. Like they, and that's entirely fair. That's entirely fair for them to use that part of their, considering the majority of them are people working on it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's fair for them to then fault the news media for focusing on that aspect of it.
Yeah, when the game looks like Chibi Robo and it's made by a bunch of former Chibi Robo developers, I mean, it's when you get the band back together, you don't just switch genres, right? It's very.
We don't want them to.
And that's
we
the other thing.
want them to play the. I want Chibi Robo.
I want the raccoons to fuck. Like that's what I want.
No, it's not part of Chibi Robo. I've never played it clearly.
So. The only thing, here, I was thinking about why it is that they'd be saying, well, this is a very different type of game. And you had brought up that, well, they don't want Nintendo to get mad. I'm like,
maybe. I don't,
right.
I didn't say Nintendo.
That was a postulation.
I didn't say Nintendo. I said whoever owns the rights, because I don't know who actually owns the rights.
Shit,
to
I don't think
Chibi Robo.
Nintendo knows the rights at this
Skip
point.
just kind of disappeared out of their office even one day.
But whoever it is that might have purchased these rights at this point, for them to be like, oh, well, this is a totally different type of game. And I'm like, you can say that all you want, but if you have a Kickstarter in the world and you are showing off gameplay and you have all this other stuff, and you are that concerned about people finding out, oh no, they'll find out this actually is one, so we have to lie about it up front so no one gets upset so we can actually make the game. I'm like, that's never how the real world has worked, for one thing. So I'm like, what's the other reason why you would say this is a very different type of game? It's shorter. That's my postulation.
Well,
the game is nowhere near as big as the original Chibi Robo game. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be a $30 or $40 game that comes out, and it's going to be half the length.
But you know why, right? You know why it's going to be that way? It's because Chibi Robo lived in a house that had a basement and all kinds of rooms, and nobody can afford that these days.
Exactly.
So
it's the updated,
it's going to be a smaller apartment, clearly.
Yeah. Everyone lives in two-bedroom apartments these days. They
Yeah,
can barely afford.
And I mean, we've seen this, lots of times for like Mighty Number 9 or other games that have sort of been the sort of spiritual successor.
Yeah.
And then haven't quite lived up to the thing. Because it's like, yeah, you're going from having the backing of a big corporation.
Yep.
To probably a smaller team.
Yes.
And so you probably are going to be a little less ambitious with the thing. And so if people start comparing it, feature parity 1-to-1, it might not look as good.
Well, and what I really find weird also about the Kickstarter thing I didn't mention is that when you see the pictures on the Kickstarter of the dev team doing their poses in the you put them up during the thing.
Yeah.
We have 3 people who had previously been directors.
The three directors of the
two co-directors of Chibi Robo and the one for Sliplash.
Yeah. So it's like all the directors.
Yeah. So you've got them, but they're listed on the page, and it's like director, and I'm like, I hope that's actually not what the idea is here. Is that we've brought back these 6 people to do this and some other programmers and whatnot, and so now we have 3 people directing the new game.
They do.
All 3 of those people are directors.
When you watch the video on the Kickstarter page, they talk about how all 3 of them are co-directing. I think it's all 3 of them, and how you might think that's a bad idea, but they think it'll be fine.
Okay.
Also, the guy, one of the directors is the guy who did the Chibi Robo, whatever, Ziplash, which people didn't really like.
That's not worth
that
liking.
Original Chibi Robo fans did not take to, I think is maybe the way to put it. That it's like when you're expecting Chibi Robo to be a certain thing and instead turns into be a side scroller, it's like I'm sure the original fans were like let down by that.
As a side scrolling game, it is fine, but it has some baffling design decisions in it, like the fact that you have to throw a roulette wheel to see what level that you end up on, and to get to do the end game boss. If you haven't been saving all of your coins or whatever currency to buy all of the giant robot parts to do the giant robot fight at the end, which is not a great fight to do either, and most of the boss fights are kind of clumsy at best. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a good platformer either.
Like, I would understand this better if they were like, we have these 3 people who are directing, and how it's actually working is that one of them is directing, or the 2 original guys are directing, and then the 3rd person is a producer or is doing something else. Because I'm like, I think they've named like 1 programmer out of the whole list, and I was like, you do know that you have to make, you're going to need multiple people to program a game. You're going to need people to design your engine unless you're
just imagining just that one guy on the computer and there's just like 3 people standing behind him.
Well done. Good job.
Or one guy goes, good job. One guy goes, do better. And the other guy goes, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm a little ambivalent. I'll get back to you. Like Sakurai in his video series on YouTube talks about, like occupying a role as a director, as a producer, or having to occupy both roles, which is even worse. But he talks about how it's like he's been in those roles where he has had to fill that in a smaller company, because Sora Limited is a smaller company for all intents and purposes compared to like the larger ones like working with Nintendo. But that he can do that, and he understands. I'm like, yeah, and if you're working on something like Smash and you have a director and maybe an assistant director underneath you, or like Tears of the Kingdom has a director and a producer. Like, it's like you don't be like, well, this game is so big, we need 3 directors. And I'm like, there's no way that Co-Robo is that big. So, and their Kickstarter is for Canadian $175,000 is what they're looking for. So I'm they have a publishing thing set up external to this.
So first of all, Kickstarter's not the only crowdfunding thing they're doing. That's the English crowdfunding thing they're doing.
They go on the Japanese one too.
They have a Japanese one as well on another site.
Okay.
The English one they're doing is specifically for our regions and stuff.
I did not look to see how big they're asking for the Japanese
I did
side.
not look for that.
Yeah.
Also, most Kickstarters for video games that happen end up also having to go through a publisher and getting money through other means as well. They don't. They almost never have the amount of money for.
I feel like there is a video game Kickstarters do often kind of play into this misconception that like say $100,000 is enough to make a video game, when most of the successful video game Kickstarters either already or in the process of the Kickstarter, use that to gauge interest and then get the backing of a publisher to actually put it out.
Yeah.
Or they crash and burn, which also happens.
But what it demonstrates to me is it's like the amount they're asking for their English language Kickstarter is quite a small amount. So to them, there's this idea of like, yes, you will be the thing that comes after. Like you will, maybe we'll have English stuff ready to go for the time, or maybe we won't. Or if they like blew away like expectations and they pulled in $1 million bucks over that, I'd be like, oh, we know now there's a huge level of interest.
There is a higher tier for getting the game onto consoles.
There's that,
So there's some tiering. It's still like a really low amount of money. They had like a little chart that was like, here's what we're attempting to try to do, but like, delays happened. So it's like they expect to maybe get the game out on Steam December 2025.
Yeah.
And then elsewhere, like Q2 of 2026.
Well,
we'll see what happens.
They had a little trailer of some gameplay, which means it's like there has been some work done. There's some proof of concept has been put together. It's not just like we wrote up to Kickstarter and we put like some doodles up and said, hey, let's make a video game, which I've seen games that do that Kickstarter.
It's definitely not a let's do a fan remake of Chibi Robo kind of situation where all the visual elements look like trash. And it's like, no, we're developing a game. We're making a game.
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
In other news, there's going to be a video game. I feel like this is sometimes there's going to be video games at the Olympics, which is not true.
No,
but the Olympics is going to be doing an esports thing in addition to the Olympics. From what I understand, it's not going to be like an event of the Olympics. It's going to
Yeah.
be a separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
But yeah, the idea of the different. I mean, aside, we talked about, or Graham talked about the obviously the sort of Saudi Arabia connection and the idea that they're sort of administering it for like 12 years, and what the implications of that mean, we don't know. But also this idea of like what games should they play?
So yeah, I'm baffled by that thing because it sounds like they want to mostly take real world sports and have a video game version of it.
Well, this is what they did at the, because it's a little slightly confusing because there was the Olympic esports week, which happened last year,
Right.
which they did, which was like
And
you're talking about.
that's a different thing.
Well, I think that the idea was that was sort of an exhibition, a test version.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And so, yeah, there was that thing of it was like video game versions of sports. And that's where we got the like tic-tac-bow and different things, which, yeah, I don't, it's like, do these, I mean, it's an interesting idea. Like what?
Oh, sure.
No, but
Yeah.
in the sense of like what is a good way to showcase the skill of the players, as opposed to sort of the flashiness of the video games or the different like
Yeah. Okay.
and like
I'm
in
with you.
talking about like in the context of like chess, which is an interesting area because chess has been on the cusp of being in the Olympics, kind of separate from esports stuff.
Right.
They've been kind of running their own thing, but then also they're kind of in the they kind of figure their way into the esports thing because it's sort of a similar kind of thing. And there's digital versions of chess, but like a digital version of chess is not is not the graphical aspect of it isn't the thing. It's the gameplay.
You could literally play it with just writing down coordinates on a piece of paper over and over.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. But like at least the chess one, chess.com sounds like that's possibly actually accessible.
Yeah, that's just sort of a
Whereas,
legitimate chess game.
If games get shut down or like how do you train if the game is not available?
And like I was also thinking, some people in the comments to the ChillPoint were talking about, because there are a large number of Olympics video games that come out every year or every 4 years or 2 years or whatever to coincide with the Olympics. Most notably like Sonic and Mario at the Olympics.
Yeah, button tappers and stuff like that. Yeah.
And well, yeah, but that's an interesting aspect, right? Where it's like, because if you really want to make an esports Olympics, an esports competition in that way, not a competition for a specific game, but sort of to show the athleticism of the players.
Yeah.
Something because a lot of the sort of Olympic games are basically the same thing, like in like whatever. So I don't know about Sonic and Mario, but some of the other Olympic games that I've actually played, basically all of the games are like either like tap these two buttons or do a circle.
Right, and there's that sense of how related is making circles really fast to actually figure skating.
And so it's like, so if you had, and it's also like if you had like different, whatever, a triathlon or a pentathlon of these games, like he's like, okay, you have to do the jousting game and you have to do the sprinting game and you have to do this thing or the javelin throw and you have to do all this stuff. The actual mechanics in the game would be just testing the same thing over and over again. Like it wouldn't actually be an interesting thing.
How fast or rhythmically can you tap these buttons?
What was that game that Nintendo put out with it had the running pad?
World Class Track Meet.
They should play that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I can cheat at that. I could definitely get a gold medal in that.
But
I ran 7-second 100-meter dashes. Like you can cheat at that game so easily.
But I was thinking about just like, what games like chess I think is a good example of a game. To be honest, I would put like something like, say, like Counter-Strike. I know they don't like the violence, and maybe they could do something about that. But like I feel like that's almost the like platonic, like as close as like sort of testing like mouse accuracy and strategic thinking and stuff without and sort of getting rid of a lot of the extraneous stuff around some of the more modern video games, and it's just like a very sort of pure experience. I feel like anyway.
I'm gonna go on a bit of a tear here.
All right.
So So Duck Hunt has the advantage of you're holding a gun thing in your hand. It doesn't have to be a gun; it can just be whatever, right? But you have Duck Hunt, and you're like, okay, aim at the screen, and I know distance, but whatever. Aim at the screen, hit the ducks or hit the clay things, and we have clay shooting in the Olympics already. This is a 1-to-1 analog, right? It's like follow the target, boom, hit the thing, and so I'm like that kind of works. And then the other side of it, it's run the 100-meter dash by tapping 2 buttons extremely fast. Is I think where it's like that is completely divorced from the idea of how that works, because it isn't just about how fast can you move your legs. It's about can you move your legs in rhythm and do those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
So there have to be representations of what we talk about, like the ability of someone to be very good. Keep saying athleticism, but the whole point with introducing like esports as an Olympic event is not to call it an athletic event. It's to call it an event that represents the higher, stronger, faster kind of idea. If that's why they want to do that. And so, doing things like, well, tic-tac-bow doesn't seem to really represent the idea of, well, what is archery? But then again, giving somebody an e-bow and then having them stand in a room and shoot e-targets just is like as a more closer 1-to-1 analog, but it really has nothing to do with the additional parts of being an archer.
Right, and I think that's actually the mistake they shouldn't necessarily be going for like the digital version of archery, like the duck hunt thing you're talking about, like target shooting at the Olympics often is done with a light gun.
Yeah.
For like they don't have I don't know why they do it sometimes one way. I think with like the biathlon.
Yeah. Okay.
They like ski and then they're shooting literally with like a laser.
Yeah.
Targeting gun. They're not actually shooting real bullets.
Right.
And so like a more accurate version of, let's say, duck hunt, like that's just that.
Yeah.
Like that's no longer like a video game that you're testing. That's just a sort of a digital targeting system for testing marksmanship athletes.
Yeah.
Which is not what they were like. What I don't think they should be trying to do.
Yeah.
So I think testing the actual what people who play video games are good at is the more interesting part.
I don't think you need to do a 1-to-1 of like, oh well, this sport works in this video game over here, so much as what is it that video games can do on their own that makes it a sport.
Yeah. And I mean, somebody suggested like StarCraft, and maybe, I don't know about StarCraft itself, but something like that, like in the same sense of Counter-Strike, where it's like that sort of almost that sort of like platonic ideal of like the things that an RTS player has to be good, doing things really.
I guess you kind of have to end up looking at genre of video game at that point.
Yeah, but and I think that would be the interesting aspect, would be to find sort of enough different things, and also, using, either using like open source stuff or very old, Counter-Strike and StarCraft aren't that old, but oldish stuff, in the sense that it's sort of locked in, like it's not going to change, or the servers are going to go offline or whatever.
the my pick for archery is it was Link's crossbow training, because if nothing else, and that's a very fun game, but it's broken into 3 distinct disciplines. There is because you're holding your Wii Zapper, right? But it's like you shoot at a screen to hit targets, but then you're also doing the part where you're running through an area and you're having to hit enemies at different spots as well.
Right.
And it is a little different. Like there's a third mode as well that I forget what it is.
Isn't there? It's been a while since I've played that game. Isn't there like you're on a horseback?
I think there might be a horseback thing where it's kind of like a rail shooter feel, but it's a very different like that kind of idea of you can build games that act like that. But now we're back to the problem.
But I would argue that motion control games should be out completely. Like, I don't think motion control games should be part of an esports thing, because
it's too close an analog to the real sport.
Yeah, like if you're doing that, then this is the Olympics. You legitimately have the real sport right there.
Right.
There's no point to have it like you should be doing. Because motion control stuff is just trying to emulate the real thing. So I don't know. That's my opinion anyway. Obviously there's lots of different ways that you could go with it. I think it's an interesting idea. In some ways, I'm concerned that it's like. I'm concerned that it's like the Olympic sort of branding. Obviously there's tons of esports competitions around the world already.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We just had Evo, and usually they're sort of specific games. But in some ways, I'm curious as to see what the Olympics is version of this is, as opposed to just an esports competition. Like, what makes it the Olympics?
Yeah.
And I think that's something, and I hope they have an answer for that, and it's not just the branding, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, because I definitely, this is so blatantly a cash grab situation.
Well, it is the Olympics.
And that's the problem, right? And it's like, I hate that, because it's like, to me, it's like, oh, you're actually tarnishing the reputation of the international or something like that. Like, where it's like, here are competitions that are being set up by the companies who run the games, but they are setting up competitions to keep people interested in playing the game. But they have taken on, a life that people are very interested in watching and being a part of the whole process. And I'm like, yeah, something like Evo, which is not sponsored by any one company, but almost certainly sponsored by a lot of companies who are like, yes, we give you we give you our blessing to run the game. We'll maybe invest money for a prize thing, whatever it is that they're doing. That also feels more like for the love of the game kind of idea. It's like, I want to stand atop the crowd, and I want to be number one, and I want to hold the trophy in the air, and I want to show off whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that feels really good. And this just feels like, how do you do, fellow kids? Like, it really feels like, hey, we realize that we could be making a fuck ton of money off you too, and we haven't finished being corrupt enough yet. We need to get even more corrupt. So we're going to do this now, because there's way more money here in this industry than there is in all these other industries.
And there's definitely probably a lot of that happening. At the same time, though, you don't want a thing to be like, okay, no, this is what we've determined sports to be, and only sports can be here, and whatever, right? They should update, and it sounds like they have been, based on the after chat of like some of the sports Graham said that they were putting in, and that they do some of that. So it's not that weird to me for them to consider the idea of video games. I just don't understand where you go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, funny little bit of news. So, we're going into the Olympics now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So imagine, if you will, that esports was just part of the Olympics.
Okay.
We're going to the Olympics right now.
We're going there right now.
We're going into the time of the Olympics. And as Graham mentioned, in this esports weekend that they did last year, racing was represented by Gran Turismo.
Due to it being way more accessible, an option.
Not necessarily because of its realism.
No,
But because
it's market penetration.
Yeah, partially it's more accessible.
Yeah.
The opening ceremony is currently happening.
Yep.
Unless you're watching this later, and then
hope-
it's already
I
happened.
hope everyone is enjoying the dancing.
So imagine if you're a esports athlete playing Gran Turismo,
Okay.
and Gran Turismo just pushed an update that changes the car physics
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
in ways that did not work quite the way they were
I don't
hoping.
remember cars working that way in anything.
I've always wanted this to be true.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I didn't realize you could get the trampoline option.
This is a super difficult kind of event to be running, though, where you're having to dodge jumping versions of your own car. But
yeah.
So they say they are aware of the issue
oh yeah,
and are currently working.
So they've added ambulances. Oh, that is a faster way to get somewhere.
I would need an ambulance for that. Yeah. Does it come back up after the roll?
It ain't coming back.
No, it's gone forever.
You just basically race in the
Anyway.
sub-ocean if you want.
I mean, this is an actual problem they have during like esports events, isn't it? Like updates that happen.
They'll often they have stuff about like they freeze
okay, yeah,
updates
that makes more sense.
at a certain point. But there have been issues where things will get pushed out like a couple of weeks before that will change the balance.
That was a good one.
Even if it's not an actual like glitch like this, stuff will happen where they change the balance of characters really close to a big competition, and so somebody's main suddenly is crap and they have to scramble.
This would be a lot more terrifying if I went outside and saw cars doing this, but because it's on a screen and it feels safer in a video game, it's kind of funny.
But I mean, it's funny, but it does also illustrate the point that you want to make sure that with video games you do have that aspect where you want to make sure that it's not going to be sort of dynamically and real.
Aren't you supposed to push to testing before you push to production?
Yes.
Real world sports get effectively updates, right? The rulings, the what's okay and what's not, and judgings and stuff will change over time.
Yes.
But they'll announce those way far out, and the players and the athletes will be able to change their stuff to match. I always love that. Every once in a while I'll see videos on like YouTube or whatever, be like, this awesome move this guy did, and why nobody is allowed. It's like after this year, it's like after the year he did this move in like rhythmic gymnastics or whatever.
Yeah, and they're like, no.
They're like, no one can ever do that one
Rhythmic
again.
gymnastics. We know you're all really excited about using saw blades, but we've determined it's a hazard to the audience, and we'd really,
I love that idea though of like nobody can do this anymore because it's too dangerous, and so they'll outlaw a thing, and then 30 or 40 years will pass, and then someone will do the move. And they'll be like, oh, you're going to get disqualified for that. Like, I don't give a shit. I came out here to show what I could do, and I did this amazing thing. And then everyone else is like, hey, wait a second. Yeah, I'm going to do a quad axle as well. And they start doing, like, then people start building on that shit. And they're like, well, everyone wants to do it now, so I guess we'll take that off the thing. And it's now part of the program. Like, those kind of, that stuff comes up all the time.
It's like,
right?
not only can you not do it because it's too dangerous, now everyone has to do it.
Yeah.
Regardless of how dangerous
I'm
it
pretty
is.
sure that's not how that episode of Star Trek goes, though.
I love-
Pretty sure they got condemned for doing that maneuver they weren't supposed to.
Delta Squad or whatever their name was. Yeah, there you go.
Prick Squad.
Yeah.
Whatever they were doing. They were all
what?
jerks.
Somebody in the chat there, this actually happened at Evo. The MK match had to be redone because it was the wrong game version.
And the match results flipped. Oh my
Ooh,
goodness.
boy, that's got to feel bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think there's the idea of video game Olympics is an interesting one. I'm curious to see where it goes. I mean, because of course the argument, I've heard the argument of like, well, the it's not a sport. Sport has to be something you sort of get sweaty while you're doing it, and so like there's all the different, and we get back into definitions of things and stuff,
Yeah.
right? There's all the things of like, some people are on the thing that like that like Olympic sports shouldn't be, they shouldn't include judged sports in the Olympics.
Yes.
That's big. And to be honest, I can see that as a line that you would want to have.
Sure, yeah, but that's also why we're developing AI, so that we can let a computer dispassionately decide who's going to be the winner.
And it's like, and it's, there's always, dressage is a good comeback for a lot of the.
It's a fun word.
But it's a good, like, I mean, like if you were like that shouldn't be included, you can usually come back with some other Olympic sport that is included that is like, whatever. So
Yeah, and they make decisions all the time about, like, there's fine gradations too, right? We have a 100-meter dash, we have a 200-meter dash.
right.
150-meter
Can we
dash
make-
is not a thing.
Can we make bear fights a sport? And before anyone gets mad, just imagine it's not actual bears. It's two people dressed up in bear suits who have to fight one another.
I like that. That's good.
Isn't that just like
Sumo.
wrestling, but they're wearing bear
They're wearing
suits?
bear suits. It's fun. It's more fun.
Okay. I get it.
Trust me, it'll go over better.
Mascot wrestling.
Yeah, sure. We can open it up past bears.
That'd be funny for when they do the body issue, the ESPN body issue, where they take pictures of everybody in their tiny outfits, but there's somebody standing there in a bear outfit going, ah.
The pee and poop mascots can go head head, or maybe they can tag team. I don't know.
People are not going to know what you're talking about. Metro Vancouver has pee and poop mascot outfits to help promote that only pee and poo and toilet paper are what are allowed into toilets, and they go around to different places and you can stand and get your
Also, there's no
pictures
toilet paper
taken.
mascot for some reason, and
Yeah.
I'm really upset about that.
I mean,
Have you not seen these?
I feel like other like Victoria has a poop mascot.
Yeah, okay.
Not enough. He's there to shame the city about the fact that we
You don't have a water treatment plant?
that we flush our effluents directly into the water.
Yeah, that's us.
Is Mr. Floaty, I think his name is.
Didn't he run for city councilor or something one time?
Probably, yeah.
That's better than
But
the,
like I feel like there's I would be not surprised at the surprisingly large number of
Shit-based mascots.
of cities that have something to do with have mascots that.
I mean,
are
there's
involved.
that mascot costume for that tax company or whatever that always ends up hanging out downtown around the April, and I hate it. It's a big leaf.
I
thing.
don't know if I've seen that
I
guy.
was mayor. Thank
It's
you.
for like Liberty or something. I don't. They're
You
always just hanging out, and they've got what's wrong with them is they have human hands. They haven't given them mascot hands, and it's wrong. And I
Like
hate
it's just
it.
the person's hands coming out of
Yes.
the side.
Human hands should not come out of mascot outfits.
See, at some point, they're going to have somebody in that mascot outfit, and they're going to have like mascot-sized hands, and you're going to realize, you're going to feel better about it until you realize those are their actual hands. You're going to get very curious to know.
No, I'm not.
What
I
that
run away every
person
time I see
is
them.
that looks like inside that has mascot-sized human hands.
No,
They finally found a
person,
place where they fit in.
A person who is in a mascot outfit to promote a company is 10 times worse than a person who's out there with a clipboard trying to get you to sign up for something because they expect that you will want to actually talk to them.
Wait, the mascot is worse?
Yes.
Well, mascots don't usually talk though.
You say that.
Like usually mascots are just kind of dancing around.
Mascots at like Disneyland don't talk.
Huh.
That's not what happens with these.
They scream from the inside,
The-
let me out, let me out.
Clearly, none of you go downtown in April, and I'm going to change that next year so
I
that
guess.
you can all feel the horror
Right.
that I feel.
So we have a different sort of Loading Ready Live pre-record.
Right near where I used to live, there was a company called Lug-a-Rug that I think was like a rug dry cleaning.
Great, okay. But was actually a drug front. Anyway.
Maybe it was, I don't know, but Lug-a-Rug, and so they and their mascot Luggy, I think,
Was a rolled up rug.
was a rug.
Okay, yeah.
So all through the summer and stuff, there was some poor guy in this like is like a mascot thing. There's just like a rug with like eyes and a mouth, and he had big sort of not human arms. He had like
Rug arms.
mascot arms with big white gloves on and stuff. But like that was always, I don't know, when I was a kid, that was always like, ooh, things could be worse. I could be like in a literal like inside a double layered rug in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be one of the worst possible.
Miserable. What a great idea for a mascot.
So I guess my follow-up question is, do I win the medal for derailment for this episode?
Yeah,
It's a pretty good one.
Let's talk about some good news.
Oh.
Bethesda
unexpected.
and Blizzard Entertainment have both fully, what do they call it, wall-to-wall unions.
Yeah.
Wall-to-wall unionized. So their entire, all their programmers, engineers, producers, designers, artists have all joined the Communication Workers of America
Yeah.
union, which
Probably a specific local.
Now, from what I understand, there's sometimes things with like, the certain, the designers or the, artists might not be like a great fit for the communication work. Like, there might be certain, like,
it's unusual. Yeah.
it's, there obviously are compromises in one of these things where it's like you have to sort of balance, obviously the more people in the union, the better.
Yeah.
But if there are too many different sort of people with different requirements, I guess, or different expectations or needs for their job, then the union kind of gets split out. But I feel like in this particular circumstance, a lot of what they're looking for is very basic. Like, sure, the programmers and artists and producers have different aspects of their jobs that they probably want resolved, but they can probably all agree that, say, unpaid overtime, being fired without cause, all the sort of very basic protections.
Yeah, job pay parity. That kind of
I
thing.
feel like those are the kind of things that they're mostly concentrating on with these kind of these kind of things, where you don't need a more specific union, I guess.
Yeah. Well, when you lump in a bunch, because I was surprised to see producers make their way in, because I was like, oh, well, producers are generally more of a managerial role on a video game.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah, and so I'm like, so clearly they don't, because directors I could see as being like, well, that's definitely managerial because you're trying to direct an entire team to do stuff. But I'm like, but you're involved heavily with the game at that level of like, this is my team and we're all working together. And I'm concentrating on this game, whereas producers have that larger idea of like, I have to kind of shepherd multiple games and make sure money is being allocated appropriately, make sure that the marketing is happening in the right places, like kind of spreading your expertise around. But they're like, no, it includes producers as well. I'm like, okay, so at certain levels, they're saying that everything, that all of these roles have a room inside of the union. So that's great. I think I worked at a lot of post-secondary institutions, and I've worked in their unions. And the unions consist of everybody from people who work in the print shop, people who work for custodial, people who work as clerks at student services, and people who have like whose job it is to keep the email running, like all those kind of things. Different levels of skills, different training, different qualifications, the amount of like everything that they do is wildly different, but they all belong into one union. And then it is the union's job to say, we have to establish pay scales for people. We have to establish like all these kind of things. And then everyone gets to enjoy benefits, because you all get to enjoy a single benefits package that hundreds of you are now signed up for. So there's lots of reasons to see, like an artist will be like, I might need to have an accommodation made for the fact that I don't really know enough about artists to say what they might need an accommodation for, but they might need a certain type of accommodation in their job that perhaps a programmer might not. And so then you're like, okay, well, that's fine, because we can build it into your role.
Right.
And I'm really, in general, I'm just really happy that they did this. And it is 700, like it's, as Nelson wrote in the thing, it's 700 more people that didn't have this kind of protection last month. It is weird to me when we talk about the next story that there was a 2,000 person layoff through Microsoft, where I'm like, is Bethesda like really, like Blizzard has more than 241 employees or 500 employees or that kind of thing. Like there's got to be a lot more people working there than that, I assumed. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe there has only ever been that many people.
I mean, it's also, in a lot of cases, there's, especially if we're talking support staff.
What you might call like the QA team and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the time that's like contracted out in weird ways. So it's not technically.
Or you have other studios that aren't actually in your own studio working on certain things.
Yeah, your custodial staff might actually be hired by contract and is contracted out to a different company. Your IT staff might actually be contracted out to another company.
So this is actually, but what is sort of interesting about this is I mean, we talked about, probably more than a year ago now, there were another couple. In that case, it was some small. I think there were specifically QA teams. I think Raven.
Yes.
Raven. Yeah, that
was
sounds
one
familiar.
Of them. And there was some. There were some pushes towards unionization that, and there was at the time. There was an aspect where, because of course, Microsoft was at the time still going through this FTC thing.
Yeah.
And they had this real they can do what they want. We have signed an agreement with the whatever the overall organization in the United States is. The I don't know, whatever, the worker, the people who you complain to if the union stuff isn't working.
The Labor Relations Board.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, they basically, as part of their being nice, as they were going into their merger stuff, they had this sort of formal agreement. They were like, we will not, interfere with any of this stuff. And at the time, people were like, okay, sure, but
what effect could that possibly have?
And big company, and there's a lot of things companies can do to discourage unions while staying on the line in terms of not violating actual labor relations things.
Yeah.
And obviously there's, as Nelson mentioned in this article, Amazon and Starbucks, other companies have come down pretty hard on union stuff, and so people were like, "Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it." And so, I mean, we saw it. It's cool that and whatever else they've been doing, and they certainly have been doing other stuff. Respect to Microsoft and, by association, Blizzard and Bethesda for sort of walking the walk and allowing this. Not only allowing it to happen, but
not interfering in the process.
Not interfering in the process, and putting up people are putting up tents and doing a whole thing. So
I mean, would you, when you have the FTC watching your every move over this merger?
Yeah. I mean, they're not. Yeah. I mean, they're not. It's good that they have that, and hopefully that scrutiny, hopefully the scrutiny will stick around for a while. Because
I mean, we talked about this a bit last week.
Yeah, so there's this other thing with the FTC that they raised the prices on their
Game Pass,
on the Game Pass stuff, and yeah, we talked about this a lot last week. So
we don't need to go into it. I did really
more,
like though that they're literally saying it's like you introduced a degraded version of your product.
Yeah,
and that's the strongest to be able to, you gave us something that was degraded.
I loved it, the quote in the news thing. It kind of sounds almost something like we would do, or I can imagine some, one of those sort of YouTube commentators with a thumbnail being Microsoft scam, or Microsoft goes back on their word.
Yeah.
In the thumbnail, and it's just such a the letter they sent, you know, is such a just like
inflammatory,
and like really not just like we don't think that they're doing the right thing. It's like they used to charge this much, they're charging this much now. That is a 17% increase, or like a 66% increase if you had the thing before, the console pass before, which
and now
they've now eliminated.
If you want to get access to games day one, that means you were on the original pass, you'd have to pay 81% more. Like they're pulling out great statistics to make it sound completely egregious.
It made me feel a little bit like some people at the FTC were really hoping for being able to play Call of Duty day one, and they're now pissed off that they're going to have to pay more for it.
This is the funny thing about civil service, right? Is that there's people in those positions who take the job seriously, they really care about it, right? They want to have an effect, and they want to hold people to account. And there have been, it's not just in the United States, but there have been all sorts of countries all over the place where the civil service has been cowed by people who are way too business friendly. That have been like, no, you're not going to enact that kind of policy. No, we're not going to allow you guys to do that kind of thing. We're going to. There's always that thing of like, so what we're going to do is we're going to raid the civil service, and we're going to pull out anybody that we can that's causing problems, and we're going to shove our own picks in there if we can. Civil service is meant to operate as a separate entity that is not supposed to be politicized, because it's supposed to ensure the continued work of what government wants things to be,
right?
Or rather, I guess what they're supposed to be a part of the executive action of what comes out of legislation, right? So the politicians make a law, and then, like in the United States, right, your president will ratify a law. In other places, it's your monarchs or whatever. But it's like, the law has been ratified, and then it is off to the president and all of their bureaus or all the executive people in all the civil service to say, now it is our job to make sure that things are being obeyed, and that people are doing things that aren't, that companies, we're giving them a lot of privilege to do stuff, which I recently learned is like privilege is a word that means private law. And it's like, we're giving them a lot of privilege to be able to do things, but that means that with that kind of privilege that you also have to respect the people who you're supposed to be serving in the first place. We gave you these abilities so you can actually do good things for the citizens and for people who want to buy your product or participate in your service. So it is nice to see that a lot more agencies are coming out with more teeth to say, nah, you can't fuck around here, guys. Like, we gave you a bit of rope so you could do something good.
Yeah.
You can't just come back and be like, no, we're going to make it even better for us.
I mean, it would be pretty hilarious if at this point the FTC was like, nope, shut it down, split it all back up again.
Yeah.
And when, you know, again, as you mentioned, Blizzard Activision just, you know, they dropped like 2,000 people who were theoretically redundant. That it's like, oops, we need those people again. Help.
Yeah.
Theoretically, they can do that, though. I believe it has happened before, like where a merger has like been done, and then the FTC has been like, nope.
And it would be one of the largest if they did do it. And I know that once you get to this point, you're generally saying to yourself, it's like, we don't want to do these kind of things, so we're not going to push for that as a final option. But there is that sense of, I'd just like to see them do it once now, because how long has it been since they've said we're going to tear apart Ma Bell or like all those kind of things, right? It's like, how long has it been since they've last said, we have this power and we're going to make an example of you?
It would be pretty awesome to have the like Microsoft goes through the whatever it was, like 3-year process of getting everybody to finally agree with to allow them to do this merger.
Yeah.
They finally get the merger done, and the FTC immediately opens up like monopoly
just
things against
immediately.
them. So it's like, no, you can do the merger, but we also think you should now split up.
Yeah. So, don't know why you want to do that merger. That's a weird thing you decide to do.
Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, you know, that is, like I said, for 3 years, that has been a continuing story that I'm sure will have more things to talk about. Oh, and then the final thing we talked about in the checkpoint was Cybertrucks in Fortnite are actually in Fortnite. It's not just a rumor.
Yeah, so if you've been playing a lot of Fortnite, be sure to take some time to point your rocket launcher at a Cybertruck.
Yeah, apparently that has been a real problem. Problem in the sense that people have been blowing, not just because it's like, from what I understand, it's like you can like find them, or you can also like have one.
Oh, okay.
So like people will just like blow them up if they just like find them around, where they would be actually like, a vehicle is a very useful thing to have in a game like that. But instead of actually using it, they'll just blow it up.
You just make targets, yeah.
Just out of sheer animosity.
Do they blow up in a way that an electric vehicle should blow up? Like that they were.
I mean, I doubt it.
Or they like light on fire and then explode.
Yeah, first there'd be like an explosion from the munition, but then the lithium goes up, and then it's like this just freaking.
Yeah. I doubt it.
Fortnite, the game that in that same trailer showed a dude with a fish for a head, definitely strikes me as the one that's going to go with realism.
Leaning realism. Into verisimilitude, yeah.
We'll see. It does remind me a little bit of like that. We were talking about was it Escape from Tarkov, where there was that whole consternation, but they added like the new package that was like $250 or something.
Oh yeah.
They gave you a bunch of bonuses and stuff, including like a fancy like icon on your thing to show that you're a cool guy.
Right.
But then they had to do an update to make it so you could hide that icon, because people were just going after sniping the people who had that icon.
I think that happens almost every time.
Like here.
They try to do a thing like that, right? Because it's like...
Here's your blue check mark.
They have that for... Certain games have that for like paid DLC and stuff too, to like... It's to show your support or whatever, and then you become a target because you've like enabled a thing. Yeah.
Anyway... let's talk about a few other things. This story sort of came out quite near the publication deadline.
Yeah.
And there was sort of stuff. So, just because we talk about it on ChillPoint doesn't necessarily mean that it will not show up later on Checkpoint. Often we'll sort of talk about something on ChillPoint in kind of general detail, and more information will come out, or it'll get kind of clarified, and then we'll find that it's something good to do.
It might still not show up in Checkpoint, though, because sometimes we get those weeks where we're just slammed for news, and then sometimes we get weeks where there's nothing.
Yeah, it all depends. So anyway, there are a few things that came out later in the week this year. So one of the things is the Humble Games, not the Humble Bundle, but this is the game publishing arm of the Humble Bundle company,
which is a separate entity but is part of the Humble consortium.
It's owned by Ziff Davis.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. Okay.
Because
so they call it Humble Games because they're capitalizing on the idea of Humble Bundle.
Well, yeah, it's within that area, but it's still separate, but it's all, I believe it's all owned by Ziff Davis.
And what did Humble Games do?
Well,
depends on who you ask.
Okay.
So the first, this is the
setup?
No, this is the like talking about sort of changing information that sometimes when you first report on something, it's so often we'll like get to an article and they'll be like,
how did the
original break? An update.
So
how did
the news
break?
Broke where a bunch of
back.
people on like LinkedIn and different stuff were like, hey, I just got fired from Humble Games.
And we're like, what a coincidence, so was I.
And it looks like, and Humble is shuttering their game publishing division.
Oh,
right.
Did Humble Games say anything about that?
So, of course, a bunch of people wanted to get a comment from Humble about whether they were doing that. And they're like, I don't know where you got that information. That is entirely false.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Wait, where's the full... Fuck it. You know it's going to be good when it starts in these challenging economic times.
Oh no.
For indie game publishing, Humble Games has made the difficult but necessary decision to restructure our operations This decision was not made lightly. It involves much deliberation and careful thought with the goal of ensuring stability. So this was posted on X, Twitter. One of the those little community notes was added to this, being contrary to what Humble Games' PR statement says. The publisher restructuring meant all the staff has been fired. Yeah, so they put out this, and then a bunch of the people who had previously worked on there are like, I was there today. Like, I was there. There's no one there.
Yeah.
Like, if they're restructuring it to nothing.
To burn it to the ground and start over.
Technically, that is a different structure. Yes.
Yeah. So it's an interesting idea here, because I don't know how many people work for Humble Games, and we'll find out in a second. But what this sounds like is, though, it is when you say, because it's like whether it was 15 people or 150 people or 1,500 people, 100%.
36 people.
So 36 people. So it's like 36 people lost their jobs. Only 36 people lost their jobs. It wasn't like they hired and then fired 3,000 people kind of deal. But it is 100% of people lost their jobs.
That's why the percentage is actually...
And that's the thing to really concentrate on too. It's like it's not like they fired like thousands of people, but 36 is still 36 people, and I do feel bad for those 36 people.
Can I request that Paul repeat the joke that he made before the show to me, to the chat?
Yeah, I was
about
saying
this story,
this
please.
Restructuring. This is restructuring, kind of in the same way that the iceberg restructured the Titanic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The new structure is 2 pieces on the ground on the floor of the sea.
I just found it particularly funny, and I think it'd be rude for Paul not to share that with the audience.
It's a different. So and just to give a quick little look, I mean, Humble Games, like I said, 36 people. Unpacking, Slay the Spire, Path of the Teal Lotus, which just came out actually recently. Like the
so many good indie titles.
Humble Games has been involved in a lot of indie games. I feel like they've been not the like last resort, but they've been like the ones to step in and pick up games that have been done dirty by their previous publisher in some cases.
Good for them.
Yeah, like they've been they have been the savior of a couple of different games over the years.
That is interesting. That's telling in itself, though, I guess, in a way that if you're like if they've kind of developed a reputation also for we're coming to the rescue of a good indie game that is just kind of getting screwed over. That also comes with challenges too, because you're coming to a game that's like trapped in a problem, and you're like, we want to take this on and do that, and it's like that might also come with significant costs for Humble Games to bear. Now they
some mentioned Bow and the Teal Lotus, which just like I believe that like just came out quite recently. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, I believe they've said ongoing operations or whatever have been for any games that were sort of in development or in process have been transferred to other companies.
Okay.
And stuff. So theoretically, don't know, but it obviously does put in mind of Adult Swim games, which is was another sort of really positive indie game publishing thing that just not only disappeared, but has disappeared, and like there's nobody there. Like all the people who make the games that they published are like, hey, could we have our game back?
Yeah.
And like, who do we talk to about that? And they're like, Meh.
So yeah, and that's the thing you always have to remember. Publishers are not the devs.
Yeah.
But the contract which the devs may have with a publisher will differ from project to project.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as the Marquette says, the developers are still around, but obviously the publishers are a very important aspect of getting the game into the place where you can play it.
Yeah, a lot of the time publishers help support through monetary means, but they also have the connections to get your ports done. They help you out with your other contracts, maybe with merchandise and other things.
It's especially, you often see games will be like on Steam, but then they'll bring in a publisher to get it onto consoles, because consoles have, you know, a whole extra level of requirements that you have to fulfill that are a huge pain in the butt.
I would hope that what this might lead to, because people have always, you try to tell devs that it's like, when you go to sign a contract with a publisher, find a lawyer, get it reviewed, make sure you're not getting screwed, those kind of ideas, right? I'm like, I wonder if that will lead to more, if there will lead to clauses in the contracts that are like, excuse me, it'll lead to contracts in like, or clauses in contracts that are like, if the publisher ceases to be, or if they undergo a restructuring or let go more than X number of their staff, or like those kind of like really kind of get into things to be like, sew this up in a way to be like, it doesn't just default back to like whoever the master publisher is that owns the smaller publisher. You hope that they come to a point where it's like, if anything happens to this company, then the dev gets the rights back to their game and they have an opportunity to negotiate.
I would expect that the publisher wouldn't put that clause in themselves.
No, but the dev could fight for it.
Could, but lots of devs are new, so that's why they end up with contracts that maybe aren't great for their first time out. There's going to be...
And you're the devs,
that might not be a thing you even think about.
Yeah.
And the dev is often negotiating from a weak position.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I mean, that of course that would be the ideal. But
you could try to fight for a thing like that, but
the fact that, I mean, I bring it up because I hope that this kind of news does lead to developers like talking to each other,
thinking about that more. Yeah.
You know, next time if this happens, or I got caught out by this, but if you have an opportunity, make sure you ask for this kind of thing.
I expect it's much more along the lines of. You're not giving over the rights to your property to a publisher so much as you retain those, rather than something along the lines of, if you fire so many people, then this will happen. I just don't see anyone working with that. I
remember Robert Koo, of Penny Arcade, who was the business manager for Penny Arcade. When we were doing Strip Search, we had a whole section that was look at this contract. That was one of the tasks they had to do, was look at this contract and redline it.
Yeah.
And it was based on the thing that in their like first couple of years of the thing, the Penny Arcade guys effectively sold off or signed away the rights to their to the comic, and then they only happened to get it back because the company they signed it away to also went out of business.
Yeah.
But but Robert Koo always had he had a good thing where he was saying like, he's saying especially if you're dealing with somebody who you like.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with a company who is a really positive thing, but making it the contract being like, I don't think you would ever screw me over.
Yeah.
But sometime in the future, you might not be there.
Yes.
I'm
waiting for the person who's going to come after you that is going to be more of a bulldog about this.
I mean, it's happened to like several people. There's all kinds of stories around about that where it's like, oh, well, we had a verbal contract for this, or we had a contract for this, but then they sold the thing, and the people who came along were just like, well, it says this, so we can do this. Like, we
were lucky with Unskippable. I think that we were able to get the IP for that back when we were able to get the IP for that back.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like, Unskippable is sort of a weird
something we never owned.
It's a weird circumstance. Yeah, we didn't. It wasn't like we signed away the rights to Unskippable.
Yeah,
Unskippable was something that was made on contract with the knowledge that
so we didn't get them back. We just acquired them.
We were like, hey, you're not doing anything with this. Can we have it?
Yeah.
And they were nice enough to give it to us.
Yeah.
That wasn't negotiation, or that wasn't a bad contract. That was just how it was.
Yeah.
And we profited from that
well over a decade later
for all in the various ways, which you can hear about on the 20th anniversary podcast. Anyway,
something new.
Moving on. Denpamen.
Oh right, I guess the new thing would be out, wouldn't it?
So I don't know if this is. what is this? Isn't this related to the Hello Kitty thing that you were showing off?
You should talk about Denpa Men.
Denpa Men's its own thing.
Oh, okay. There was just like that little dude that Beej found in the Hello Kitty game.
Oh, that's just a weird thing that
That
they
was just
did.
a weird
That's
guy?
That's
Okay.
not anything to do with Denpa
Anyway,
Men.
That is a very Japanese type of thing.
Yeah.
It's a style, but
it's a free to play game that came out on that's come out on Switch just recently.
yeah.
You try to recruit the titular Denpa men, who are guys wearing sort of full
Kind
body
of like
costumes.
like the green screen suit essentially.
Denpa
Yeah.
means radio waves.
Yeah.
So,
And
or
they
energy
have
waves, but-
little antenna. I haven't played the new one, so I don't know how they because
But
on the 3DS, it was supposed to use the networks around you to determine which ones were floating around in the air, and then you would use the AR to throw nets at them to catch them in order to play with them in your game. And I don't know how they do it in this one because I haven't.
I mean, if it's
I haven't played it yet.
If the Switch having Wi-Fi would be able to, this is a Switch game, I believe, right?
Yeah, this is the new
Yeah.
one. Is.
So I'm sure that it can also detect like other Wi-Fi networks in the area, and of course, there's going to be tons of Wi-Fi networks these days. So, but
Yeah, in the one I played, it was like a little dungeon crawler essentially. So this was how you recruited your party members, and then you would run through a dungeon and do little fights.
and that was 3DS era, and we have been waiting for a new English language version of this for a while.
Yeah.
But what happened?
No,
People are
never thought there'd be another one of these. Just thought it was weird and interesting.
people are a little put out that the English translation appears to be very, very bad.
Oh,
To the
no.
point where the rumor is that it's like a straight up AI translation.
Oh no.
Now, the funny thing is, I've seen the argument that maybe it's supposed to be like this because the Denpa men like talk weird.
Well, they do. They have like
Um,
high pitched voices or something, if I remember.
But not this
They're
kind of
the-
weird.
Why don't you give it back a little? Watching it makes me angry. Nice to meet you. I'm Denpa men. Thank you, as always. You are Denpa men who lives on this island.
Now, the name of the characters, they are Denpa men. And
Yeah, but
So,
it's
is
not
an
like-
individual.
that's-
What's the collective of Denpa? Is
the singular and the collective
is it
might
Denpa
actually
men?
Yeah, I think it's both.
the singular
but
and the because it's written in katakana, and I'm like at least I believe it's written in katakana, and so therefore it's going to be Denpa men is going to be the referring to all of them, but I guess has to refer to a single one as well, because that's just how they'll say it. But
Is that cave with great treasure? Can I go in without permission?
now that
I mean,
that's not
spelling-
MTL, right?
Spelling errors are
That's just a
thing
spelling
that,
thing, yeah.
that can happen.
I think this is the best. Another squid came all over the place trying to steal my jewel.
Yeah.
Don't you hate it when a stupid comes all over the place and
'Cause
steals your jewel?
You can use baka as a way to say idiot or baka as a way to say stupid. So you have options. It's very clearly. Electric Claire says that large language models can sometimes produce misspelled words as well.
Yeah, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's proof of anything. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that misspelling words happens in lots of games.
Yeah, it's
Especially if you read visual novels, they pop up quite a bit. Sometimes it's just sometimes misspellings actually just shows how rushed the translation was.
I do like that we're now referring to these as like the slop we're getting as AI translations. That we're referring to them as AI translation as opposed to machine translation, which is what in the Scanlation community is what MTL is what they've generally referred to a lot recently, where it's like, oh, this chapter I've put up is they'll put warnings up where they'll be like, warning, this chapter is all MTL. They'll just say that, and it's like you had to learn what MTL is. It's machine translation. But now we call it AI translation because it's real fucking bad. And nobody likes.
It's all this. I mean, it's the same technique that it's always used, but now it's called AI. But
Yeah, but I love that it's like, oh, now we're referring to it as an AI translation because we know that people don't like this and that it is. The AI backlash. I like that it's not just kind of the murmuring and whispering of, oh, they're going to take our jobs. It's like really come out strongly enforced, I think, big in the nerd community, that there's like the nerd community has a striation of like people who are really into AI is going to change everything, and a lot of people who are like AI is ruining everything right now.
Everything I see about AI right now is how the bubble's going to burst in a year because it's costing like $5.4 billion just to do.
That's OpenAI.
Yeah.
OpenAI is basically not making any money and will have basically burned through about $5 billion
But this
in
is
a
the
year's
problem
time.
with using the word AI on everything.
Yeah, that OpenAI is a company and AI is a Anyway,
Speaking of AI taking our jobs, SAG-AFTRA.
yes,
Oh, right. Yes. Okay.
The
Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA.
Well, you didn't even try. I was expecting you to make up something at least.
Association of Film, Theater, and Recording of America, I think this is, or American
Something like
Film
that.
Theater.
I mean, Americans
Association.
usually in them.
anyway.
Yeah. Federation of Television and Radio Artists. Thank you. I thought it was Film and Theater.
So obviously there's the big writers and actors strike that happened a while ago.
Remember that, folks?
Well, there's
but
a new one.
there's a new strike that just actually went into effect
Just
today.
started a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
I think.
Um,
I don't know what
for-
time zone it was in. So.
Like, it got announced yesterday at 2 p.m. and I was like, oh, we just missed checkpoints.
But yeah, it's for video game performers. So we're talking voice actors, we're talking motion capture actors, we're talking other people who are, so not the people making the games, the people who are performing in the games is the distinction.
Yeah.
That they're going on strike, and apparently they've been in negotiations with the big developers for like 18 months. And they have, finally reached the point where they have to go on strike. The main point of contention being AI usage of their stuff.
Now, this is a targeted strike also, right? It is specifically against companies that are using voice acting talent. Or is it video game companies that are using voice acting talent?
It's from what I can gather, from what I understand, it is a general SAG-AFTRA video game performer strike.
But it means that it's not
But some game companies people are still able to work for some game companies that have signed provisional contracts.
Yeah.
And agreed, not to use AI and the
It's
ways
like what
they
happened
don't
with
want.
A24 when they did that.
There are
But I think
supposed
there's
to be some specific like works that are considered struck works.
But if you are if you're an actor working for a film, you don't have to go on strike for that.
I don't know.
Okay.
no,
So anyway,
this is specifically
This is
video game
game
actors
That's what I mean,
that
yeah.
are going on strike. Yeah.
You're gonna say something.
But
Heather, I'm sorry.
I know that there are certain it's actually super confusing because I know I saw yesterday someone was like, should people not stream games? And they said no, totally. You can just stream stuff, but don't. But like bring it up, talk about the strike, bring a person on to talk about the strike if you can, that kind of thing. And then today I saw something about Struckworks with specific companies, which I think the person I was following was having a hard time trying to figure out which ones they were, and so they're going with like the usual contenders, Warner Brothers, Disney, and the like. But Disney makes games.
No, I know, but that is so weird to think of that. It's like, oh, we'll just focus on the film and television studios that also make video games, as opposed to focusing on the bigger video game companies that make video games.
I mean, they are also included.
Oh, okay, that's good too.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
So the big point of contention seems to be, so what's interesting, so there's the statement from the publisher, video game publisher's side. So the group of video game companies negotiating with SAG-AFTRA includes Activision, Electronic Arts, Insomniac, Take-Two, WB Games, and others. So they said, we're disappointed that the union has chosen to walk away when we are so close to a deal. This is after 18 months of negotiations. We remain prepared to resume negotiations. We've already found common ground on 24 of the 25 proposals, including historic wage increases and additional safety provisions. Our offer is directly responsive to SAG-AFTRA's concerns and extends meaningful AI protections that including consent. So
we're the reasonable ones.
Basically, the main point of contention, and part of the sort of rallying cry that SAG-AFTRA is using is sort of no one left behind.
Yeah.
Because the AI protections they put in are that the publishing companies are sort of okay with or are allowing are specifically around voice acting, whereas SAG-AFTRA wants to include motion capture, wants to include other types of performance.
That makes sense. Yeah, good for them.
And so they're saying that, just because sort of the voice actors got their part, that's not enough. We want to make sure that the entire thing gets in. So that's what they're...
if that's the 25th provision that they're fighting over there, then that's quite the thing. But I have a feeling that they're being a little disingenuous about a lot of that conversation.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, if you have performers working for you, helping to create content that is in your game, whether it's voice content, whether it's stunt work, whether it's motion work, all of these performers deserve to have their right to have an informed consent and fair compensation for use of their image, their likeness, or voice, or their performance. It's just that simple. I mean, especially when you're talking about the performance capture stuff.
Yeah.
These days we're not just talking voice capture, we're not just talking motion capture, we're talking, actual facial performance capture stuff.
Yeah.
Probably putting the real likeness of the actor into the game.
Yeah.
And the idea of sort of having that happen, and then 5 years down the line, you see yourself doing all sorts of other things.
Yeah, because you saw the likeness. Yeah.
Because they can just recreate it from AI stuff. I could definitely see how that would be a concern.
It's a very, it would be very, I mean, I know that there's also a traditional thing at some companies, and maybe it is just to smaller companies now, where you'll ask one of the sound designers, or you'll ask one of the programmers or whomever to come in and be like, hey, can you put on the mocap suit and can you like do a diving roll for me because I need to get this? And it's like you just kind of ask people around the office, can you come in and read a line? Can you do some walla in the background? Or like those kind of things, right? And it does make me wonder if there will come a point where it will be like, that all has to be union work. If you say that, well, we're going to hire union voice actors, yes, and they do that, and it's like I'm sure there'll be provision somewhere to be like, well, we need to get somebody doing a thing, and it's like, well, that's stunt work though, so we have to hire stuntmen to do those things. We have to hire dedicated mocap artists to do those kind of things, and we weren't expecting that, and that might change the tenor of what happens there. And I'm not saying throw all that out. I'm just saying I wonder if that will start to change how they.
It might already
problem.
On a large company, like if union. Like if you have to have union workers, then you probably can't just do things that way.
Yeah, and there's already stuff, and we've talked about this a little bit for
below a certain
below a certain budget
right.
changes the requirements of the union thing. So trying to make it not too arduous for a small studio, but still making it fair for the publishers. So I remember, I mean, there's the people making, people just in the company doing things. There was the big thing with Claptrap in Borderlands,
right?
Who was I believe it was Claptrap. The voice was originally just like he was the CTO or something of Gearbox,
right?
And he did like Borderlands 1 and 2, I think, and then he was fired.
Mm-hmm.
And then people were like, "Hey, how come
Claptrap's voice is different?"
Claptrap's voice is different, and he's like, because they asked him to come back and do it, but they were like, they were willing to pay what he was paid when he was like a person working for the company and just doing this, not what you would pay a professional voice actor to come in and do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. If I don't work for the company, I'm no longer just like some guy who you're getting in do this. Now you're hiring me as a voice actor.
Yeah.
It's a whole new thing.
This shit isn't incidental anymore.
And I worked there, so I know how much.
Right.
voice actors get paid.
Also, he didn't really want to do it because Randy Pitchford is an asshole. Anyway, there's more. I guess there's a lot of esports or a lot of competitions going on right now, or sort of thing. But anyway, Splatoon. Nintendo has revoked the championship title from the champions of the Splatoon event, Team Jackpot, who won the Splatoon the Splatoon 2024 World Championship.
And why did they do that?
It has come to our attention that certain members of Team Jackpot, the team that recently won the Splatoon 3 World Championship, acted in a manner that is not in line with our community guidelines while playing the Splatoon 3 game. As a result, Jackpot's win will be considered vacated and the team will not receive trophies associated with the event. There's some.
The word I heard was racism.
Yeah, there's some.
I don't know if that's true yet. So let's see, Paul. Was there actually a thing that says, "Oh yeah, somebody said something very insensitive"?
There's a lot of people saying, people said bad things. I don't know if they actually saying.
You can say bad things that aren't racist.
Saying specifically, there's like they have apologized and say. Apologize for the conduct. I want to formally apologize for this. Is one of the members of the team did a big statement being like, I want to apologize for not holding my friends accountable. I guess this guy didn't himself get called out, but I didn't know Madness or talk to Jared at the time of their screenshots, but I've spoken to Leafy since hers. It is entirely my fault for not stepping up and telling her what is right from wrong. The severity of what has been said to everyone is too much to put into words. It is disgusting, horrid, and something I never. So it was, racist, pejorative terms. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
So I think it was Discord chats and sort of semi-private stuff that then got leaked out.
Mm.
The interesting thing about this, obviously, people having their titles stripped and stuff, unfortunately is not that newsworthy these days. But what's kind of interesting about this is there's an in-game thing that was created for them.
Yeah, banner or something?
Yeah. That now has to be sort of itself redacted. They added a custom in-game cosmetic item to commemorate the winning team, a splash tag banner that depicted the characters' teams. And the splash tag banner will be adjusted via an oncoming update.
That'll be interesting.
Nintendo cares deeply about our players, so I don't know what I hope it just gets adjusted to they just like big like empty boxes over their faces or something.
It's funny too, right? Because it's
redacted.
There's a that because you can use that stuff for dog whistling, right? If you wanna harass the other team or do whatever, and you're like, oh well, I know what I'll do is I'll take the Team Jackpot banner and I'll spray it all over wherever.
Chances are good they'll swap it to a different team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be the hope, is that you would either swap it or you remove it entirely. But if you just do an adjustment where you even if you remove some aspects or whatever,
they have said that they've said the Jackpot's win will be considered vacated and the team will not receive trophies for the associated event. It sounds like they're not just putting whoever's in second up. Yeah. So they're just saying nobody won that year.
Yeah.
Mm.
So. Even when you're playing a game, even a friendly game like Splatoon, gotta watch yourself. Speaking of friendly people, Shit Stain Steve.
I think we have some different definitions of words going on.
What noble thing did venerable gamer Shit Stain Steve do for the community?
So this is not really, this is just a little story that I thought was kind of fun.
Great.
About Path of Exile.
Okay.
So Path of Exile, it's kind of a Diablo-y type game.
Okay.
It has these things called, it's got a thing called the Delve, which is basically a randomly generated dungeon that you can just keep going down.
Okay, cool.
And it just gets harder and harder and harder as you go down, and it goes forever. It gets harder and harder and better loot. So it's basically just like almost a way to like test your character to see how far down you can go.
Right.
So they found out a little while ago that it's not actually infinite.
Oh.
It was supposed to be you can go down infinitely. It turns out you can go down 65,535 levels because it's stored in a 16-bit integer.
Okay.
And then it wraps around to level 1 again.
Fair.
To be fair, if I was designing a thing where people go down levels and it gets harder at every level, I feel like 65,000 levels would be enough.
Yeah.
But that is not the case.
Are you allowed to save in between play sessions? Like, is this a thing where you have to leave?
Yeah, you can say, yeah,
okay.
I believe you can save between sessions, yeah. You go down. They also found out that around, I think, level 3, is it 3,000 or 6,000? It stops getting hard, like it's as hard as it can get. So it doesn't, at that point, you're just basically like keep going down. Level 6,000.
I mean, sure, there's got to be a point where it can't scale up any harder.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy,
whose real name is not
this guy who goes by the username, or apparently the username is Turd Twister X.
Better, yes, awesome.
Sure.
Created it, but the character he created is Shitstain Steve.
Well, at least he's keeping with theme.
He began an epic journey because his objective was, because like a lot of these games, Path of Exile has sort of seasons.
Okay.
Which are, I believe, 3 months long.
Oh, so like normal.
Where you
there's a reset at the end.
It resets everything.
So you only had 3 months to make it down 65,000.
So people had made it because it doesn't reset the delve.
Oh,
so you can keep going.
Okay.
But this guy set himself the task of doing it in one season.
Oh, all right.
And what's really cool is that there's a server-wide broadcast every certain number of when somebody gets to a deeper level in the delve than anybody has.
Oh.
And so basically all throughout this last season, anybody that happened to be playing on the server would every once in a while get a ping being like, Shitstain Steve just hit level 10,000.
Right.
Or like, just hit level 20,000. And people were like, who the hell is this guy?
Fair.
I'm sure there's a lot of people being like, must be a dev testing something, I'm sure, but yeah. Damn.
And so eventually, he started, 4 days, July 20, so it reset today, I believe, the 26th is when it reset.
Okay.
So on July 22nd, he managed to get all the way down and got to the very bottom and to the point where he went to the next place and it looped back.
Right.
He posted he was streaming the whole not the whole thing, but just like the final floors in celebration, and he posted his stats. 14,060,392 monsters killed, 12,357 deaths, 65 days, 6 hours and 41 minutes played in 3 months.
65 out of 90. So yeah, he spent 16 hours a day roughly.
Yeah, on average, he spent 13 hours a day.
Okay, yeah.
To reach the point. The devs have reached out to him to congratulate him on his victory.
And sent him a new bed.
And told him he is, the undisputed king of Delve.
I don't like any video game that much.
That's kind of great. It's like the dudes when I went to like PAX that one year, and 2K was doing they were doing a thing on XCOM, and they presented somebody who had the first person who had finished Impossible Iron Man. They presented him with like a special award or whatever at the thing, and I'm like, they need to do that for Shit Stain Steve. They need to yell his name over a PA system.
Or From Software sent like a katana to solo her.
Yeah. That's kind of great. Yeah, don't ever let, I mean, Ico and Mog points out, there's a point where you just say, I'm going to do this thing, and it consumes you, and please don't let things consume you to that level, I guess, unless you've got money.
I feel like I like this particular thing kind of caught on because of this like server-wide notification things where people were just like it's one of those things where like it happens.
Hype.
It's like it happens and you dismiss it, and it happens and you dismiss it, and then like by the fourth time you're like, wait, what is this thing?
Yeah, what is actually happening here? Yeah.
All right, I think we just got one more thing here.
I was gonna say also too that I was very surprised that that his mother named him that. But then I was like, obviously, because there's the joke being Steve, but then also it's like, actually it would be really funny if that when you were born, when your parents name you, they also then and lo, his online handle will be Shit Stain Steve.
Oh goodness.
Apparently, in the new league, there's an NPC in the village called Steve Shit.
That's
SCHITT.
That's great.
Excellent. So this last story is actually a little bit older. I think this is something that actually came out during the subathon, but because we didn't do Checkpoint that week, and I thought it was interesting. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen that there's been updates on this, but maybe somebody can tell me. So, Space Marine 2 is a game that's going to be coming out, but the full dev build of it leaked.
Oh no.
Which is got to be bad.
Which means everybody who is waiting to buy it and play it has just downloaded it and started.
Yeah, so if you want to play it enough to download a 75 gigabyte package from some random Russian site. But what's weird is that they were running a beta test, as well.
Yeah.
And people figured out you could unpack it, play it, and you could also connect up to the server and start and so people were like leveling their character.
Usually you can't do that part.
Presumably, is going to be pretty obvious so they can either ban people or reset the things by the time when the game actually comes out in September. This is it's supposed to come out in September, so this is pretty early.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is very early.
I mean, because if it was me, I would take ever seen Mystic Quest: Raven's Banquet? It's an Apple TV show.
And he's asking you because we watched it together.
Rob McElhenney, it's his show. It's an Ubisoft show. It's basically about we're making an MMO and this kind of thing. Right. There was an episode where the Nazis show up in their game, and they're like, "Well, we don't like this at all, and what are we going to do about this?" And there's a bunch of back and forth about we should kick them off, and then they're like, "No, they're game players. We need to find a way to manage this whole thing." And it's it should just be let them do whatever they want, that kind of stuff going back and forth, right? And ultimately, the solution. I'm going to spoil you guys. It's been out for a while, but the solution was no, let them play the game. It's great, no problem. In fact, we have a dedicated server that anytime anybody does anything, we actually dump them into that server, and they can't get out, but they have no idea.
They don't know. Yeah, they've essentially been shadow banned.
Yeah, I mean that's basically like there's lots of online servers that
are honeypots.
System, or not just honeypots, but there's the thing where they'll identify cheaters and then just put all the cheaters together on their own server.
Yeah, and I love the idea of this being the thing maybe that the devs for Space Marine 2 are saying, that it's okay, so we know who went out and just downloaded the full game and is doing this crap. So let us find it. Let us not shut them down immediately. Keep an eye on this, figure out what we can do. Let's find a way that when the time comes for them to play the real game, that they will be unable to do so.
Well, although
with the copy they downloaded. Yeah,
because of course the other aspect of it is presumably
these are your super fans.
These are the people who are very excited about the game. So you don't necessarily want to completely lock them out.
No.
So Focus Entertainment, the publisher, saying, "We are saddened by that this build, which will be almost a year old by the time we launch, is how our most eager fans will first experience Space Marine 2."
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's like a big thing, right? It's like you don't want the first impression to be, we're asking everyone to avoid this unfinished build and not spoil the game for those excited to experience it first time at launch. By the way, this is also, that's basically the same philosophy I have for like early access games.
Yeah.
Even though that's obviously officially released. But it's like, I don't know. I always think about it like, even for a game I'm really excited about, or like a movie that I'm really, like, would you, the new Iron Man movie is like, do you want to watch it when it's done, or do you want to watch it like 3 months before it's done?
As a work print.
But like with, big green screens behind things and stuff. And it's like, no, I'll wait until it's like just the way it's supposed to be.
Just previs all of a sudden. You're watching 10 minutes of previs and you're back to like...
I don't want to watch that first, but I kind of want to watch it after.
Yeah, that's fun too. I hope that maybe what they do is they find a means to be like, oh, well, the dev build that people have, it's like, well, if you have the dev build, then that's not going to work when the game goes live, so you'll have to buy a copy. Or they'll do a thing where it's like, if you have the dev build and you continue to play on it, you're going to have a degraded experience, maybe that you don't level up as fast, or your weapons aren't as good, something.
Yeah, theoretically, if it's connected to their servers, there's no, they can certainly tell that you're running the dev build.
I'm just surprised they were able to do that.
That's an interesting aspect of it.
It's not like it's almost super it's almost super common to be like, oh, that game comes out in 2 weeks. Well, the whole thing leaked and a lot of people are already streaming it, right? Like that that seems commonplace now. But the idea that it's like, oh, we hooked up to the servers and we're just doing it.
Now, I mean, I guess the big takeaway on this is that if you are somebody who is excited for the Space Marine 2 game, which Space Marine 1 was actually super fun. It's like a third-person sort of Gears of War style thing, except you're a Space Marine running around and shooting orcs and stuff. So Space Marine 2 it could be very good.
Yeah.
But if you are somebody who's excited about it, don't download this from some sketchy site, but be a little bit aware in terms of people, the spoilers could be out there for it. So, be a little bit on guard about that.
Yeah, stop going to Reddit.
Exactly.
Just stay off the internet.
Yeah. Delete your Twitter account.
Oh, definitely do that. Twitter added a new thing where they auto opt you in to use AI for their Grok whatever thing, and you have to go into a separate settings thing through privacy that's separate from the other privacy one to uncheck it, and you can't do it on the mobile device. You have to do it on a browser.
Yeah, which we have done for ours.
Yep.
So yeah, if you have a X account, make sure you uncheck that.
Yeah, it gets harder every goddamn day to stay on that service. But we can't leave there yet. Not yet. I'm sure we'll talk about that more.
All right.
As time goes.
That's all the news we want to talk about. Like I said, there's some of these stuff sometimes might come out on episode of ChillPoint later on. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes there'll be new stuff. We'll see. But in any case, thank you very much for watching and joining us.
Yeah, you check out that Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. I mentioned the store earlier, so I don't have to do it again.
Yes, the store. Lots of cool stuff on the store. And, if you want to help us out, you can also just follow the channel, tell friends about it.
You can subscribe to the YouTube channel.
There's all that good stuff. It helps us in very many ways. But for now, we will talk to all y'all later. Bye.